Hi everyone, exciting news, as today, April the 1st, 2023, just really mentioning that it's today that's happening, this video is being published on April the 1st. Today, FromSoft have just announced that Bloodborne is finally coming to PC. This video will provide all the information you need to know regarding this upcoming port. So, first thing you need to know is, give you a second, throat's a little dry, I'm gonna get some water. I'm all out. Fuck. Right, okay, what could I fucking drink? Is there anything decent around it? Oh, hello. Hello? Maybe I could give this a drink? Right, let's see this, it says it's melon flavored, so, it's probably good. Deluxe, well, I love me my fancy stuff. Anyway, bottoms up, motherfuckers. Yeah, bit of an aftertaste, this one. It's, oh my fucking Christ.
I'm sure loads of you are excited based on the recent announcement of Bloodborne's Steam port. I sure know I am. Finally, I can get full use out of my PC, which is now graphically powerful enough to run Uninciting Game of the Year edition. This may potentially be your first exposure to Bloodborne, and as someone who's recently played through it for the first time and decided to make it their entire personality, I am personally the most qualified person to tell you everything you need to know before this upcoming port. The game released in 2015 and was a noted step away from the Dark Souls formula. The director of this game, Hidetaka Miyazaki, has frequently stated they always wanted to do a game set in Victorian London. However, it could not be part of the Dark Souls universe, as in those games you collect souls, and British people don't have one. So FromSoft created this new spin on Dark Souls, which is not classified as an action RPG, but instead an action Carl Gustav, that is now part of the London-like genre, which is responsible for other games such as Uncharted 3, Watch Dogs Legion, and 343 Industries' most recent game, Halo Init.
Some of you may wonder what the story of Bloodborne is. I do as well, but of course there are a few tidbits in the lore that are worth knowing. Titbits. It's got the word bits in it.
First big question, what happened at Byrgenwerth? University kids decided to take a year in industry. That industry specifically being devotion to eldritch beings beyond our mortal comprehension. This led to them committing amoral acts, and it cost them their humanity. But apparently the cost doesn't matter, because it'll definitely look good on their CV. Next, you may be confused as to what the nightmare fog is outside each of the boss rooms, and this is a cloud of vape smoke. A lot of the bosses are teen vapors, and after every time they pound you into the ground, they rip a fat one while they wait for you to come back. Indeed, it's believed that Vicar Amelia was the source of all this. The very reason she is immobilized by fire paper is that she assumed you were going to use said paper to roll her a ciggy. Her blood-curdling cry of "Rah!" well, okay, it's more like is of course short for "Rah, pass the backy." Now, speaking of the bosses in this game, I understand that a lot of you are starting to lose interest in this video, so here's references to porn to prevent you from turning over to Internet Historian or whoever else has just uploaded a 2-hour-long video today. Each of these bosses brings something new to the table in terms of tags. For example, we have the threesome here with the Shadows of Yharnam, Father Gascoigne, Clear Fairy, as well as Literal Missionary, the One Reborn, Harem, and maybe a bit of vomit depending on how squeamish you are. Murgo's Wet Nurse, Obvious MILF, as well as a bit submissive because I beat it first go. Me, bragging, never. I still lost to the fucking Shadows of Yharnam like 12 times. I am shit at this game. And of course, we have Mika Lash, who is very clearly Blowjob. Why? Because his boss fight can suck my dick.
I mentioned that this is not an action RPG, but instead a new format of game known as an action Carl Gustav. And that is because a role-playing game implies you take the role of someone. Whereas in Bloodborne, I did not have to put myself into anyone else's shoes, as I was playing as literally myself. Like, genuinely, the recreation I made of Ryan Gosling in this game is scarily good. The only difference between them is the fact that this person's legal name is Ryan the Autist. By the way, bat that joke, I am autistic myself, I am allowed to make it. If you don't believe me, I will happily show you my educational psychology certificate. And of course, if you still need extra proof, well, here's a steelbook of Sonic Frontiers. Although the truest recreation of myself in this game comes in the form of the amygdala boss fight. The head has an uncanny resemblance to mine. Some of you might be doubting that, saying, "Oh, but amygdala is grey, not red like you." Well, most of the time I am actually grey, it's just I'm red now because on camera I record these vids when I am off my face. This is my drunk voice right now. I've always been speaking in my drunk voice. My real voice is voice sounds like this. So yeah, there you go. You don't learn that every day, do you?
Gehrman is a fascinating character on account of the fact he is also literally me. He too does not leave the house, and his only company is his wife, who is 100% real, I promise you. Before, Gehrman was one of the founding hunters, where he would slay the beasts of Yharnam. In his time as a hunter, he came into contact with the Moon Presence, who offered to turn him into the truest Brexit geezer, but clearly the Moon Presence had a few catches in store for him, as Gehrman suffered a 38-0 loss of fucking limb. He's now confined to a wheelchair, where he is left only with the company of his doll, Susan. If you are to do the good thing, then at the end you will agree to fight him to take his place. As Gehrman has been in charge of the Hunter's Dream for so long, he risks becoming the second longest serving Prime Minister we've had this year, which is not Finna Trussin for real for real. The remaster will also include the Old Hunters DLC for no extra cost, which I refuse to play because I understand it'll take me at least a day's worth of training just so that I can get pummeled into the ground by the Unborn. This DLC takes place in a whole new area with quite an interesting story behind it. After those at Bergenworth University became the Hunters, they decided to leave Yharnam and go to a coastal town because they sensed the presence of an eldritch god. Once they went there, they experimented on the locals by getting them addicted to a terrible substance, and now it's one of the hardest areas in the game. Of course, this DLC is mainly known for the Ludwig boss fight, which is all well and good until you're asked where he was keeping that sword during the first phase. Then suddenly the room full of rotten corpses seems like a relatively pleasant smell in comparison. But speaking of things pulled out of asses, FromSoft have announced some changes for the PC edition. It will be available on Steam, the Epic Store, itch.io and Nutaku. Of course, many have talked about how Bloodborne is too hard, so as a result some of the enemy encounters have been remade by me in order to make it a little easier. In fact, Sony has been kind enough to allow me to release the demo for the PC version, and you can now play it on itch.io, link in the description. Of course, the sound design got a redesign, as a lot of Hidetaka Miyazaki's work takes influence from the work of Kentaro Miura. The most recent adaptation of Miyazaki's work will take influence from the most recent adaptation of Miura's work with the sound design. Here's a sample. Another interesting feature is that this is going to tie into FromSoft's new World of Getting Good platform. It's a bit like Hitman's World of Assassination, as it also will give you a random NPC throughout the entire games that you have to find. But in the World of Getting Good, you have to find them and then get your shit kicked in by them. Oh yeah, speaking of bleeding out of every orifice, why does the air taste funny right now? Oh yeah, I'm allergic to pain.
Oh, Jesus. Fucking Christ. Well, that just happened. Anyway, where was I in the script? Yes. This video will provide you with all the information you need to know regarding Bloodborne's port to PC. So the first thing you need to know is nothing. Like, apparently there is no news on a PC port of this game, which is, like, I'm kind of impressed. Like, God of War can get a PC port, but not this fucking game. This has got to stay on PlayStation. Like, bravo Sony for keeping that one exclusive. Like, was not expecting that. Anyway, a lot of people have asked Miyazaki to port this to Steam for quite a while, but I don't think that'll work. I mean, what's Studio Ghibli gonna do with Bloodborne?
Made the joke. I made the fucking joke. Yes. We can roll the credits. Fucking see him now. Ain't they great? Yep, that's the entire point of this. Next video won't be for a month and a half. It'll probably be an AMV.
Oh, also, someone's done this fantastic artwork of me. Link to them in the description because they did a fantastic job. Like, I know this is the April Fool's video, but that's the truest statement you will hear today. Genuinely, it looks amazing.
More fucking credits, baby. Don't they look good? Oh, yes. This is my first upload of the fucking month, and this is the best I could come up with. Oh, God, I have failed you all. I can only apologize. Whoop-de-fucking-da. Ah!